Hi, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you feed your pets as a vegan. So I know that there are a couple of boards that I'm on that I subscribe to that are vegan and vegetarian boards, and there's a lot of controversy about feeding your pets meat and still being able to call yourself a vegan. So this is kind of where I stand on it. So I have two cats. Um, they're both laying like just out of sight. Um, there's Foxy. She's gonna get in and beyond. The little one. And there's Loki. Loki's the fat one. So, well, he's not fat. He's fluffy. So, they're both ragdoll cats. And I've had Loki, the big one, for like 3.5 years now. And Foxy we've had for 2.5 years. And they're actually from the same breeder. But Loki just turned out to be true to Ragdoll, so he's massive. And Foxy is just a bit of an anomaly, and she's really small and very delicate, which is not typical of Ragdolls at all. And she's also not floppy like a Ragdoll is supposed to be, but Loki is very floppy and true to a Ragdoll. So Ragdolls have very specific dietary needs in that they have to have a high water content diet or they are very susceptible to bladder infections and urinary tract infections, and it can become quite serious. So we've always fed them um, like canned cat food, so it's higher in water. But when we got Foxy, she was very small and very sick, and not exactly. We still don't quite know why she was so sick, but she was very sick for a long time. When we first got her, she should have been much bigger, but she was so small she could fit just in like the palm of my hand, and she used to cuddle and like sit her little bum right in like the dip in my collarbone, and she just would actually fit in there like perfectly, and she would curl up in there, and she was very sick, and we were always taking her to the vets, and we wonder if that might be why she didn't grow and why she's so small for a ragdoll. Um, but so um, she would get better and then she would get sick again, and so when I found, and she actually got really sick once with a urinary tract infection. She was so sick that she almost died. Um, she was we didn't know she was sick for a while because she's normally very quiet and keeps to herself. Um, she likes to hang out at a distance. Like she'll sit there and she likes to do that, but she has very rare moods where she'll come up and she wants to cuddle and stuff. So although she's very sweet, she's just not like a cuddler. So we didn't know that she was feeling so poorly, and then until she was really sick, and she tried to jump off the couch and like fell on her face. She couldn't support herself, and we noticed that she was like dragging her back two legs behind her when she was walking, and we took her to the vet. We thought she had broken her leg somehow, and they didn't seem to find a problem, and they were like, oh, she's fine, whatever. And we took her home, and then that night she just like went downhill, and she was hardly even um, breathing, and her eyes were like just big black dots, and she was really sick. So we took her into a different vet because we had taken her to an emergency vet the night before, and now it was daytime, and we took her to our normal vet who just does cats, and she was like, oh, thank God you took her right now because she probably wouldn't have lasted another couple of hours. She's extremely dehydrated and backed up, and I guess her bladder infection was so bad that it was hurting her to go to the bathroom, so she was holding everything inside, and her bladder was so taut and hot that it was actually about to rupture. So she was in the hospital for about 3 days. They treated her. They also had to take out her. Well, she got spayed when she was there. They said the infection was going to spread, and she would need to be spayed anyway, so they spayed her. And she continued to get sick after that a couple of times. And then when I went raw, something clicked in my head, and I was like, wait, why don't I feed my cats raw? Because if humans are supposed to eat vegetables and fruits, and that's how they reach optimum health, then why wouldn't the same be true for animals? So I researched what cats should eat and realized that cats are carnivores. They don't taste or digest or metabolize fruits or vegetables at all. They're carnivores, unlike dogs who do metabolize and digest certain fruits and vegetables. Cats don't at all. So that was a really clear decision for me. And I thought, why would I give them something that isn't going to work with them? The same way I wouldn't give myself something that isn't going to work with my body. So I've been feeding them raw. We try to get not sustainable, but like ethically raised meat, and we prepare it ourselves and feed it to them. And I don't feel guilty doing it. If they weren't rag dolls, I would let them outside and they could eat. They could hunt for their own food the majority of the time. But rag dolls have to be kept indoors. They don't have normal instincts. They're very passive. So if a dog comes up to them that's being aggressive, their tactic is to like roll on their back and play dead. So they wouldn't last very long in the wild. So we have to keep them inside, and so the option for them to get their own food isn't really there. So we feed them that. If there was any other way that I could see around it, I wouldn't. But their health is important to me. And so I choose to feed them what's going to be healthy for their bodies. And Foxy hasn't been sick since, and that was a year and a half ago. So I guess it's working well for them. And yeah, so I'm sure other people will have different perspectives and ideas about this. And yeah, if you want to comment below, if you have any suggestions of other ways we can do it to not use meat, go ahead. But we won't be changing their diet unless it's something that we can research and we find is proven that won't make them sick again and will keep them at their peak of health. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.